Selling on Amazon is easy, right? The shoppers are there's hundreds of millions of them. You can source products on Alibaba and then you get rich. That's true in some cases, right? But it's not true at all. And I'm gonna be here to tell you how hard it is. So get in the mindset today that I'm not gonna go find one product. I'm thinking about creating a brand that I can sell for millions of dollars. This is important to me. I think that in 2016, and I'll get into this in a little bit, but when we started in private label, it was 2016. We started with arbitrage and wholesale in 2015. And in 2016, it was a time. You could go to Alibaba, or at the time, AliExpress or whatever it was, and you could order a couple hundred units of a product. You could take a picture with your cell phone and put it on Amazon, and there was a good chance you'd make some sales. Ridiculous to think today, because it's not that way anymore. So it's far more competitive. There are a lot more details around how the algorithm works and how to trigger that algorithm for ranking. But it's also, the positive of this is that it's far more disruptible because of tools like AI and data dive. So we're gonna teach you how to use the latest technology in order to really be able to penetrate a niche and disrupt it. All right. So, selling on Amazon is easy, right? The shoppers are there's hundreds of millions of them. You can source products on Alibaba and then you get rich. No, and that's true in some cases, right? But it's not true at all. And again, I'm gonna be here to tell you how hard it is. Now, if you look at the distribution of sellers and small businesses and how they're doing, 31% of sellers are doing under $500 or, almost nothing. And when you get into the sweet spot of getting into the tens of thousands per month, which is in that 100,000, that's less than 4% of sellers get to a six-figure business. That's a significant milestone for me in a lot of ways, because what we're thinking about doing today is helping you find a product. And I want you to think not just in terms of revenue, but in profit. Profit matters more than anything. Now, hey, if you're enjoying this content, you're going to love the masterclasses that we host on a regular basis. We've got over 1,000 members in our private community, and over 400 of them are already doing over $1 million. We regularly host masterclasses with hundreds of students, and you can find out more below. Join us. If I can get you in the mindset of thinking about, I will not choose a product. I want you to make this commitment with me right now. I will not choose a product unless I can make a minimum with all expenses, net, of $100 a day in profit. Now that's on the low end. And if you have a bigger budget, you might be able to raise that bar a little bit. But I want your commitment today that you will not choose a product that's only selling a few units a day and making you $6 every time it sells. The same amount of effort to find, source, design, and manage that product is the same amount of effort you'll need for something making you $200 a day. All right. So we need to be thinking in terms of profit per day, not necessarily revenue like this. But if we work backwards from that and we assume that we're net at 20%, which would be, pretty good. If you're doing $500,000 in revenue, you can have a six-figure income from selling on Amazon, right? But more importantly, let's work backwards from that commitment that we're gonna make a minimum of $100 per product. Let's say we find something making $250 in profit per day. That's a good benchmark. You're making $250 in profit a day. That might not be enough to pay all your bills, right? That's okay. Let's do that 10 times. Now you've got something. $2,500 a day in profit makes you wealthy, right? That can make you rich. That can change your life, right? $250 a day, probably not going to change your life. You're gonna be happier probably running your own business. Stressed out, believe me. But $2,500 a day, that's going to change your life. So let's make a commitment that we're going to look at profit, and we're going to have a minimum, and then we're going to do that way. So competition is serious even for sophisticated sellers. This gives you an idea of, the top sellers lifetime by cohort. This means that only 20% of top sellers are still there after 7 years. There's a lot of turnover in the categories. There's a lifetime value to how long a product can stay a bestseller. That means that Amazon is disruptible. So just as much as you might consider this a bad thing, it's also a good thing. It means that you're coming in now and you're like, is it too late, right? All this talk around it's harder, it's not as easy. The tools I'm gonna show you today and how to use AI and how to use Data Dive mean that you can knock these guys off. Someone's comfortable. Someone's been selling for 4, 5, 6 years with the same product. That means you can come in and design a better product. You can design as a better bundle, a better widget, a better looking product, packaging, some kind of way to disrupt them. And we'll go over some of those ways. And you will be able to disrupt them. Now, if they only launched that 1 or 2 products or 5 products and they got comfortable because they were making their $1,000 a day, they're like, that's all I need to live. They're going to be SOL in a few years when that income disappears. So this is also a numbers game where you not need to constantly be thinking about new product development, constantly researching new products, and constantly launching the next product in your brand. So get in the mindset today that I'm not going to go find one product. I want you to think about this as well. I'm not going to just find one product and go launch it and win and start making some side money. I'm thinking about creating a brand that I can sell for millions of dollars. And in order to do that, I have to always be doing research. I need to always be launching new products, right? That's the commitment.